and welcome back to the Fixing Football podcast. And this week, the big news is Manchester United. Is it over for Amorim now? Ruben Amorim's men have accumulated 31 points in 31 games. He's statistically the worst manager in Manchester United's history. And are the fans starting to see a bit of change now? Here with me, as always, is Liam Almira. And Liam, Man United, one of our favourite topics. We can have a bit of a laugh. It's not too serious for us. And question straight over to you. Is it over now for Amorim? Is this the beginning of the end?
Good question. It should be. It should be. I think we talked about the back end of last year. That it was, in my view, mental. That Graham Potter seemed to be under more pressure than Ruben Amorim. When he actually had a better record than Ruben Amorim.
Yeah.
And West Ham fans were giving him grief over his form. But Amorim just seemed to have this unlimited free pass of not had enough transfer windows yet. And, I mean, we'll get into sort of in a bit more detail about it as we go on, but it should be the beginning of the end. And I do think that there is signs, like you said in the intro there, that is changing. What do you think?
Yeah, the discourse following, especially the Manchester derby defeat, it wasn't so much the result. Manchester City have been favourites in that fixture for a long time, but it's the manner. It's another defeat. They are, you know what? I'm not sure where they are in the table, but they're around the place where they finished last season. They are not high up. We knew it was going to be a struggle for them this season, but the vibe, and we know we like a bit of vibe around here, but the vibe around Ruben Amorim and the chat now is that this system that he's using, I'm sure we'll pick a little bit at the system, but this system isn't working. Was it ever going to work? Who knows? Maybe if he had the squad. Maybe if he brought his Sporting Lisbon squad over because they did a job on Man City at one point. I know Arsenal, we beat them last season, but that same Ruben Amorim squad and system did a real good job on Man City last year. So, is it all the system's fault? Is it all his fault? I sort of lie somewhere in the middle of it, but everything points at him, and it's got to. Do you get why he still has a bit of favouritism amongst the fans? I mean, are you seeing that still a little bit? Man United's reluctance to get on his back, if you will, even though it's been so poor. I mean, we saw the way it's weird at Man United. And I'll let you answer in a second, but the fan support, it just falls off a cliff. It's quite high and friendly and in favour of the manager. And they generally, Man United fans, I'm speaking on behalf of them here, but they generally back the manager. And in the past, they've always had the Glazers to be the enemy. Now, that's a little bit less so now because they've got a new ownership structure. And then all of a sudden, like went this way for Solskjaer, and it went this way for Mourinho and Van Gaal, and the support's there, and even when times are getting tough, the support's there, and Van Gaal, and the support's there, and then all of a sudden it's just boom, and they're gone. From the day that support drops off and it becomes really vocal, the manager's gone. Are we there? Well, we're clearly not there yet. But what are Man United fans clinging on to with Amorim, do you think?
There's a lot to unpack there. So, firstly, the idea of Man City being favourites. I actually think Man City came into this game with a lot of questions about themselves. So the fact that they were allowed to have what on the face of it was quite an easy afternoon was criminal, really, from United. And I think Roy Keane talked about afterwards, in very typical Roy Keane fashion, the lack of yellow cards and the lack of fight and desire. And yeah, I mean, it's a little bit archaic to look at football in those terms, I think, but I think he does have a bit of a point in regards to bringing that aggression. If you think that you're the less dominant team in a derby game, you do want to try and bring the intensity. So yeah. I do understand his point on that. But to go back to sort of the question regarding the fans, we've talked about this before. We talked about this with Solskjaer. We talked about it with Ten Hag. And prior to the podcast, I've said this in pretty much every single manager since Fergie. United fans are weirdos when it comes to the managers. They almost feel like they're above calling for a manager to be sacked. Like, they're Man United fans. They're better than that. You know, we have to get behind the team. We sing for 90 minutes about the manager because it can't be the manager's fault. It can only be the Glazers. And
I get that. I do get it though, and it feels very. I will say it feels very AFTV of a fan to just jump on the manager's back, especially just a year into the job or 18 months into your job, or whatever it's going to be. I was always. We had some conversations long before the podcast started when Amorim was in charge of Arsenal and about should he go, and I was always very reluctant about that. But as an Arsenal fan coming from growing up with Arsene Wenger, and I'm sure United fans growing up with Sir Alex Ferguson, you just stick with it. You stick with that guy, and he's your club. I know football's changed, and I know times have changed, but I'm trying to be a little bit devil's advocate to some points here.
I was going to say, I also don't think you're right to stick with Wenger that long, but that's a different debate altogether. Yeah. But what I think is interesting about it is when it all falls off a cliff, I think that starts to happen when the pundits start to change, because unlike any other club, United are wedded to the media. Any punditry or commentary on Manchester United, they're everywhere. And they're all so closely tied to the club, it feels like. It feels like they're almost still part of Man United, really. Like
yeah.
They have these like unofficial spokespeople all around for the best interest of Man United. It really does feel like, I know people say similar to Liverpool, but I don't think it is. I think Man United far eclipse that in terms of
United dominate the medial rhetoric and sort of general consensus, the opinion. I don't want to blame Gary Neville for everything, but he's at the centre of that, and you know he's going to employ his mates, and he's going to get Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes and Roy Keane on every podcast he can, and Rio Ferdinand's the same, and he'll go and speak to Michael Carrick and Wayne Rooney and all these people. They're all in the same ilk.
They feel closer to the club, I think, though. Because I saw an interview, a really, really interesting interview with Wayne Rooney he was talking about this. It's quite good for this kind of stuff, Wayne Rooney. And he was saying that he was talking to Rio Ferdinand about it.
Yeah.
How bad he feels at the moment, because and I can almost imagine that conversation going is that he's at the point, Rooney, and he's almost says as much where he's turning on Amorim. And does he have a responsibility? And no, you don't have a responsibility to Man United. Like, what you're talking about, you're in the media. If you think it's shit, you're supposed to say it's shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're not. What you're protecting, and when you talk about are they right to turn, and is it good to stick with a manager for so long? This feels a lot like Ange Postecoglou to me, but we're talking a different club, and where Ange would mourn that he almost wasn't given a chance because he's at Tottenham, and the idea is that you laugh at Tottenham and you derive Tottenham, and it can never be good because it's Tottenham. His record was better than Amorim's, and his biggest criticism was being wedded to a system and unwavering in change. And Amorim just seems to get all the time in the world, and it's everything. It can't be Amorim. It must be these weird external forces because he's a Man United manager. He must know what he's doing, and it's just interesting how these perceptions are there, I think, because for me, I like Amorim, and I actually think there's probably a good coach in there. He seems quite a likeable guy, to be honest. He seems quite a good guy, but...
Stop. This is exactly why the crux of the point is, why do we like him? And is that sort of part of the reason why he's going to gain maybe a few more months than what he probably should in terms of merit? Why do we like him? Because he's a little bit outspoken. He seems to have a little bit of a personality and character about him in interviews, and he seems to speak, shoot from the hip a little bit when it comes to any post-match interviews or opinions that he wants to give on himself and Man United.
Yeah, he seems to care as well.
It is a little bit of that, yeah.
I find United struggling possibly. It's probably one of the good constants of my life at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, it's one of the joys of waking up day to day is knowing Man United is still shit.
It keeps me warm in the winter. It's a pure part of hope for me, and I really, I go to it in my darkest moments. I just remember that United is shit these days. And it keeps me going. So, but having said that, there's something very likeable about Ruben Amorim, and I won't say that I'm rooting for him because United losing outweighs that because it's funny as fuck.
Yeah.
But if he was a different club, I think I would be rooting for him because he seems all right. He seems all
He
right. And he's
does.
trying his best, but I suppose, and we'll get into this now. Is he trying his best, or is he not? He's being destructive.
Well, this is where we can talk about his system a little bit. And he's already spoken after the match yesterday. He was questioned about Bruno Fernandes's positions on the pitch, and he was questioned about whether he would ever change his system. And he was quite adamant that the system isn't the problem. It's people knowing the system, and it's availability and whatever else. Maybe he self-deprecated a little bit by saying it's the way he's portraying the system or whatever. In my opinion, sorry.
Who's missing? When he says it's
Yeah, I don't know. It was. I can only think of Cunha, who was missing from Man United's team yesterday.
Mason Mount.
Mason Mount, maybe. Yeah, I mean, he played twice this season, so he's due. But let's think here. And if I think Gary Neville on the post match, I don't know if you saw any of it, but he was trying to explain the 3-4-2-1 a little bit, or 1-2, however it's set up. And at Sporting Lisbon, that it looked like a quite a flat, but also very dynamic and flat, as in 3-4-3. Like the way you, if you looked at it from a bird's eye view, you would clear as day know that it was a 3-4-3. But it was also very dynamic and fluid. So when City played them, I think Gyökeres scored hat-trick, if you remember that match, and I think Lisbon beat them at the Etihad as well. And they were really fast and in your face and, very exciting. And then Gyökeres scored a hat-trick in Portugal. Again, very similar, beating Man City all over the pitch, dominant. We played them in, I don't know if it was the league stage or one of the knockout stages of the Champions League. We beat them 5-1 last season. And we were great that night, but it wasn't an easy win. They didn't roll over. Like literally, there was a clip going around when we was looking at Gyökeres coming to Arsenal. There was a clip of Gyökeres beating, it might have been Timber on about the halfway line, and then running Saliba, and he beat Saliba for pace, got a shot away and hit the post. That was in the 88th minute. They were fucking relentless. They were a machine, and to do it that was one of the things that made you go, Jesus Christ, this guy's like got a bit of something. But also, in fact, it speaks a lot about the way Amorim had that team and the fight that they had built. It wasn't an easy win at all. They weren't on it because we really were, and we beat them well. But we just took our chances that night. On another night, it could have been 2-2 or something like that. It was just one of them. What I'm trying to say is that system works well because they had the players, and the players understood the system. Knowing that Amorim was always going to play this system, and knowing the players that he had available to him coming into the Man United job, why has he not adapted yet? Why?
This is the question.
Why has he not changed? He's tried to change personnel. He's got a new front line, the £200 million front line. He's been backed there. He's got a new goalkeeper in. He's had other players in throughout, like Dorgu came in and Mazraoui. Then players have come in for him as well.
I think. They both look good. More Dorgu. Dorgu's starting to look all right, I think. But carry on, sorry.
That's basically it. Why? And I don't want to keep relating to Arsenal, but it's one of the best examples I have. When Arteta came into Arsenal, he did not think, I'm going to set up with, this is my way or the highway. He came in and thought, we need to stop the ship here from sinking. We need to start plugging some holes. And we went basically 5 at the back with who we had available. We had Bellerin and Kolasinac as / wing backs, but really we had 3 centre backs and 2 and a left and a right back. We had 5 at the back, really tight midfield, and that's where we built from. We stopped the rot and we moved forward. Why has Amorim not adopted anything like this?
This is ultimately the question, because what I don't understand is why he felt if he had that long-term vision, I kind of get that, but why do you have to get there straight away? So why Why do you have to teach these players to do it when you don't think they can do it? Why can't you have an adaptation of it?
It's like they call it the first 90 days, like in politics or business or something. We go in and
yeah, 30, 60, 90 days, yeah.
a few easy wins, a few yeses, get people on side, all that. Why is that not happening?
I can only think that he wanted to make a drastic change, and he's almost in too deep now. And I don't.
He said it, so he'll never go back.
Yeah, I don't see it that way. I think the chances that they made have been good, and they've done what they. You can't do it all in one window. I actually strongly believe that.
Yeah.
But if you've not got the place for the system, do a system that's like the system. It doesn't need to be a completely. No one's saying go 5-4-1. Everyone you can adapt it slightly. Like you say, what is it? 3-4-1, 3-4-2-1, is it?
Yeah, that's what they're calling it. It's 3-4-3. That's what it is.
Yeah, you can. Why can't you have different versions of that?
Well, if every pundit is talking about big gaps in the midfield, about things being spread, the idea of a 3-4-3 is to compact the whole pitch. And
it seems to me, yeah. If I was looking at it differently, what are the two biggest issues, right? There's what do you do with Bruno Fernandes would have been a big one.
I want to circle back to that, but yeah.
Yeah, and the second is the gap between defence and midfield. And for me, this is not easy to solve, but here's what I potentially look at it and go, right, so you sacrifice the two behind the thing, which I know is a big part of his system, but you've got wing-backs. So you give Bruno in a 10, and you drop Menu into centre defensive midfield, and he can take the ball to centre-backs, which gets rid of that problem area of passing where Bayandé doesn't know where to pass to, and Harry Maguire's been asked to do so. Because Menu can receive that ball under pressure. Or Casemiro can play there, because that's his actual position that he played for 10 years when he was winning Champions League after Champions League. And then, we'll play him in this roaming 8 position all of a sudden. So, and that is an adaptation until you then get Cunha. And you do one of them. You don't go Cunha and Mbeumo at once. You do one now, one later. And I just don't understand why they've done it that way.
I have been on the train that I think it's too early for an Amorim in this Man United side. I think Amorim is the guy who comes in when the squad is a lot better. And I don't think he was ever the guy to fix this Man United team. So the Man United's next 3... In fact, sorry, before I go on to this bit, I wanted to circle back to Bruno Fernandes. Man United have had vast opportunities to sell Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
What? Now, I know he's their best player, but sometimes you have to make a sacrifice for the greater good here. Why do you think they have not sold Bruno Fernandes? Because he is the one person who you look at who thinks, I don't know where he goes in this Man United team. And he is very much a big square peg in looking for a round hole to fit in.
I've got no idea. I thought when that first said the offer went in, I was like, what a golden opportunity.
A 31-year-old to get £80 million or whatever it was going to be, 100 million even.
The good news is they probably still can do it because of the Saudi window. But we'll see. It just seems the right thing to do. I've got no answer for that. I don't know what they're thinking with that, because for all these different reasons, it makes sense. The only thing I can think of is that they think the money will still be there in 12 months, and they think they can do the Belieber deal then, because there's a year, and they're waiting on that. But for me, I'd probably pocket the money.
100%. 100%.
Use it wisely in the January window or the end of the season one. It's
not a great. We're not breaking any news here that Bruno Fernandes is Man United's best player, but sometimes they've got to go for the greater good. It's just the way it is. You might as well play a fucking astronaut in centre midfield the way you're trying to fit Bruno Fernandes. It doesn't work. There's two
things I think about this. It's funny you're bringing this up. There's two things I think about this. Number one is that yeah, he's your best player, but he's 31 years old. So That's massive, right? But number two, there's a point where having a player that's that much better than everyone else, it becomes actually a problem rather than a thing. And I've been thinking about this a lot because of Bolton with Mario Corso-Dubry.
Yeah.
That we've got a player there who is so good that we're almost looking to him every time we have the ball. And we're becoming predictable because of it.
Yeah.
He's demanding the ball and we're giving him the ball because he's that good. And it becomes a problem very quickly, I think.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
always remember Liverpool selling Coutinho. And
Perfect
there,
example.
They really, really kicked on. But he was becoming a problem because everything went through him.
Yeah.
And from there they evolved that front line off the back.
Perfect example, yeah. With the Coutinho when he did. Who came in with the Coutinho money? Was it Salah? Was it Mane? Or was Mane there before, I think?
I think
Mane was there before Salah.
Salah came in. I don't know if Firmino was. I think Firmino might have come in then.
After as well, yeah. Yeah, that worked out pretty well.
and Fabinho as well.
Well, yeah, it worked out pretty well. And just to think, maybe money isn't a problem anymore at Man United. They seem to have unlimited when it suits them and none when it suits the narrative as well.
Correct.
But that would have done a lot of wonders. They're not, what's the word? They're not, what's the word, Liam? They cannot escape PSR. What's the word? They're not immune to any PSR problems.
No, there's only some. Yeah, they have been run so badly, and they're making so much loss on. That's their issue. It's the losses they're making on players that they sign, like a Højlund, like Sancho, like Anthony. They have so they should be okay, but because of these losses, they're not. And this is where Liverpool have such an advantage over everyone else because they're not.
Yeah.
They're buying high, but they're not selling low either, and that's why they're. This is where my view about Liverpool just being at a completely operating at a different level than everyone else, and people should be really worried about what they can do in the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of it's to do with the PSR element because their revenues are so much higher than everyone else, and essentially they're able to go out and do anything because they're selling academy players like Chelsea used to do as well. So yeah, United are in trouble.
So. Let's go back to our roots here and fix something. Manchester United have 3 upcoming games: Chelsea at Old Trafford, Brentford away, and Sunderland at Old Trafford. Does Ruben Amorim get this time? Do you think he's still got that long left with the tide seemingly turning against him?
I don't know. I normally I'd say yeah, but I do think that it's getting serious. And I'd be shocked if discussions aren't being had about what would you say is a realistic return from those 3 games? Say points enough? I'm not sure it is.
If in Man United's current state, and if I was looking to, if I would prefer to keep Ruben Amorim, if I'm Jim Ratcliffe and I prefer to keep Ruben Amorim at the moment because I see him as the future, I would accept 6 points from them 3 games. This is Sunderland at Old Trafford, and this is Brentford away. They're quite a poor Brentford side now. A lot of people are tipping for relegation. Chelsea side look good, and they're an handful for most people. And I would take a loss against them if it guaranteed me 6 points against the other 2. And that's just the current state of where Man United are, and that's what I think would be classed as acceptable.
I think that's optimistic. I think that's optimistic. I'm looking at I'm looking.
My realistic head, I'm not saying that's what could happen. I'm saying if I'm Jim Ratcliffe, that's what I want to happen, and I'm giving him a pass on the Chelsea match. What I think Brentford away is going to be a struggle because it just was for Chelsea, even though I just bigged them up. And listen, every newly promoted team, where do they want to play? Where do they want to come to? They want to play at Old Trafford, and they want to do the business.
They were very lucky against Burnley. I'd be shocked if they get 4 points.
Is that the end?
It depends how badly Chelsea beat them.
Yeah.
Because I can't. I mean, look, they may surprise us. They have good players at the end of the day, so they may surprise us. But if they're 2-0 down and Garnacho comes on with 20 minutes to go, and bags and goes into the corner, laughing his head off.
A full Adebayor.
That will be very, very uncomfortable for Amorim if that happens.
Yeah.
Considering the rumours are that at the end of the Europa League final, he, in front of the rest of the team, said, "You need to tell your agents to find another club. You're not playing for us again." So if that was to happen, that would be very, very uncomfortable for him. And I think
very tasty.
It's your moment that Solskjaer had with the Ollie's at the wheel with the Liverpool fans when they zoom in and all you can see on the Liverpool. It'd be a very similar moment where you'd have cameramen zooming in on Amorim's face when that's happening, and I think that would make life very difficult for him.
No, there's two fixes here. We are the Fixing Football podcast, and we do have the answers here. And there's two routes we can go down. Now, the simple, clean, very cost-effective version of this is Ruben Amorim swallows a bit of his pride and stops the rot. And he certainly has the players capable of doing that. He has a ridiculously talented young striker who is ready to be let loose. And if he could sit everyone deep back and cram the midfield like he needs to and start hitting people on the break with Diallo on one wing, whoever else you want to say on another wing, and Benjamin Sesko through the middle, and the rest of the team is there.
I'd start Cunha up front.
However you want to do it, and soak up the pressure and start hitting teams on the break and keep winning and all grinding out points and stop losing is the main one. Or it's time to find Man United another manager. And what do they got?
I think one of the others will happen. So
last question.
Two things will happen.
None of those two things will happen.
No, one of those two things will happen. Either he adapts or he'll go.
No, I don't think option A happens ever.
Well, then
I don't think he does adapt.
He won't be here till Christmas.
One little question here, side question, before we get on to fixes and some options for Man United. They were really, really quick to pull the trigger on getting rid of Dan Ashworth, who they spent 2 years or 18 months chasing and paying compensation and in legal battles with Newcastle for, to get Dan Ashworth in. And 6 months later, not even that, once he was in the job, he's gone. And they've parted ways. And a lot of people said, well, maybe that's the right way maybe that's the right thing. If things aren't working, it's better to just get someone out than to persist with it. And that sets a precedent which makes you think that Amorim is really teetering on the edge here. But there's also the rhetoric that he isn't, and that he's got the backing of the board and he's got time to carry on here and build something. Is there any reasoning behind that, do you think? Pride?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they're different things. I think when it's a backroom appointment, we never really know what's happened. So you can back brief and back channel and you can get your narrative out there and you can almost manage the situation better. With Amorim, and with it being a manager and it playing out so badly publicly, there's no hiding the mistake. It's clearly an error. It's clearly a bad bit. And after the Ten Hag problems that they had, it just does not look good on their decision making.
Okay.
And I think that's partly the issue. Whereas with Ashworth, it's a bit different.
I'm starting to think Ashworth might have been telling a few home truths that people didn't like.
Yeah, that is one theory that I've heard. And again, we never know, but it could make sense.
So,
that's what happened with Rangnick, isn't it?
Yeah, Rangnick was adamant. He was brought in as a club advisor, ended up being in the dugout, and yeah, he's still preaching about how he was telling them about this and that. Yeah. Let's try and fix Manchester United, Liam, because the two options that I just gave you. I mean, it's our MO, and not that anyone's listening. So let's come up with a plan here. Man United. Ruben Amorim has 3 really poor games coming up, and he's gone. I think he's gone because I don't think option A happens. If he doesn't adapt, he dies, and he won't adapt. He's made that clear. Who would Man United be best suited to get now? He's gone, and we've been given the chance to fix Man United here. Now, me personally, I'd send them Neil Lennon. Someone fucking just as bad, but a little bit more abrasive.
Fair. To be fair, you're not a million miles away from my real suggestion.
Go on, just give me a shout.
Brendan Rodgers.
I did think this a little bit today. Is that a realistic shout though, with his Liverpool ties?
I think it's been long enough on that. I don't disagree with. I've thought that for a long time, and I wondered whether we're City, because I think he was always wanted the City job, didn't he? After Pep, that was what he felt he could do, and I can see that as well. But I think it's been long enough where
Fair.
the situation
I do
at
too.
United is different now than, not that like they're desperate and they take anyone, but I think he's a calibre of manager that's potentially available to them that maybe not necessarily, or else they'd have to start looking at out of the box ideas. And
Can I chuck 3 names at you?
go on.
In fact, no, 2 names. That won't be popular, but maybe just what Man United need. Sean Dyche.
Just never going to happen, is it?
I know it's never going to happen. I know he would be up against it from day one.
There was one like that has happened, and it's Thomas Frank. That was the one of that. Not of that unfashionable ilk, but of an unfashionable choice that Tottenham have gone and done, I think.
Because I hate the fact that Sean Dyche is labelled as a little bit of a long ball dinosaur of the game. These Premier League managers, especially who's been in the modern game, are so switched on and aware of the world around them.
The really complex strategies and team that sets up, especially his Burnley team. Like, if you look at the sum of the parts there, you're talking, a team full of lads who have forklift licenses playing and finishing the top half of the Premier League.
Yeah.
It was ridiculously complex. But the problem with Sean Dyche is that personal brand is not going to win over a global fan base.
It's
Man
that.
eats worms.
It is a little bit of that. Second one, Gareth Southgate.
I'd love to see the fume of it. Oh God, I would live thing. I think it could probably handle it. It's not a good enough manager, but you could probably handle the club.
Well, this is the thing. Does he need to be a good enough manager to take Man United back to winning Champions Leagues? Or does he just need to be a good enough manager for now to get them to the next point?
He's could he be a figurehead? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely was that at England.
This is what I'm talking about. And I think that's what they need now. They've tried the next great managers in the world. They've tried the next up-and-coming managers in the world. They've tried Fergie's recommendations. Nothing's worked. And they've all had various ways of blame and different excuses to go at. But sometimes you just need to get the unpopular opinion in. Would Emery? I don't know. Unai Emery, is that a good shout? Would he go?
I don't know. I think with Emery, if he was available before, they would have got him. I think instead of Ruben Amorim. I don't know that actually, because Amorim was a bit of a flavour of the month at that point. But I would have had Emery over anyone last time. To be completely honest.
Right. Well, that's us fixing Man United at the moment.
By the way, I don't think the Southgate shout's terrible. They won't like it though. I just don't.
They won't like it. That's the problem.
I think they've looked at that before because there was a lot of rumours about Southgate, weren't there? And I think that was Ineos testing the waters because they're very close to him as well. He's not, him and Brailsford are very close, I believe. So I think they tested the water last time and they knew that the fan base weren't sold on it. So I think they stayed clear.
Right. Well, At the moment, things are definitely whatever happened over the summer hasn't worked for Manchester United. It's not looking good for Ruben Amorim, and we've done our best to try and fix them. We would love to hear people's thoughts on what they think of Man United right now, and if they have any other opinions of how and why this Man United team could be fixed. The more detail, the better. Please do get in touch in the comments, on Twitter or anywhere else you want to get to us. We're going to take a short break. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in a minute. And we're back. Liam, it's my birthday. Birthday episode.
It is. It is the birthday episode. Happy birthday, Martin. Big 4-0, how are you feeling?
Not big 4-0, big 3-6. And I'm feeling it. I smashed my foot up being an absolute idiot dad at the weekend. It is fully broke. Giving it the big one to my daughter when Gyökeres scored. I ran into the living room, like covering my.
Are you joking?
I did it a couple of times and she was laughing. I was going, "Oh, Gyökeres!" And she loves it. I was watching it in here, and she was in the other room. And I ran in third time, and then just dumb. Honestly, I thought I took the front of the house off, mate. I just absolutely bad, full on smashed. I'm not going to insert pic here, but it's pretty angry at the moment.
I can't believe that you saw that. You've kept that quiet.
What? My reasoning?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't in some cool beer can dropping from a fridge incident, but it was up there. It was.
To be fair, I ate mine the other week. Shampoo from the shower in the gym. Like it fell like big tub of shampoo straight on my my big toe.
Yeah. So I am. Yeah, not good. But good Arsenal win. Highlight of the weekend, nice and early. Get that out of the way. Good win against Nottingham. We needed that. We needed that break after the Liverpool match because there was a bad sort of stink after the Liverpool game that we didn't go for it. And I watched it back, and it was just a bit of a mess game. Liverpool weren't great either. And anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. I thought coming up against Nottingham and their new manager, which we've not really got into yet after our predictions episode and week. I know we
I hadn't even got out yet, had it?
Well, yeah, we recorded it.
Literally just finished recording, haven't we?
Yeah, the morning. Yeah,
it was that night. Come up, it happened at the night.
It was. Yeah. In fact, if you listen to the recording, 1 hour previous to that, I did say that he might have gone by the time this goes out.
Yeah.
So, anyway, good win. Madueke looked fantastic. Gyökeres was on fire, and that's the game that we bought him for. We didn't get him to beat Liverpool and beat City. Well, we were up.
That'd be nice if he did that as well.
It would be nice, but we were doing that up until Liverpool game. We hadn't lost a game against the Big Six for 3 years. We hadn't lost a game against any of them for 3 years.
Yeah, because you'd not gone in their half though. Anyway, go on.
Doesn't matter. We'd won most of them, by the way. It was the little teams, the smaller teams who we would struggle against, the teams who would come back and set up against us. Nottingham Forest are less so, that they're on the higher end these days. But
by the way, Nottingham Forest fans, I don't think you're a small club. That was Martin.
I used little with the commas if you're listening on audio, but you stink. Gyökeres, yeah, fantastic, really good sort of performance. Who else was good? Zubimendi, signing of the season, laughed out of the studio last week with 2 amazing goals, and everything's.
I didn't see the goal live, and I must admit, hearing it described, I thought this must be the best goal I've ever seen. I saw it live online. Definitely should have saved that, but he hit it well. It come at him fast, but I was a bit like,
he hit it well.
It's not. Yes, volley from the edge of the area in the corner. I was like, not really in the corner, but okay. But fair enough. It was a good goal.
This is the thing. I was saying this to Scott on Sunday, that in today's game, we don't see them goals as much. we see quite boring goals these days. We don't see a
Well,
lot of great strikes
well, we talk about Bolton. I'll talk to you about this because this is literally what I've been thinking.
until Kozia Dubry steps up.
It's the well, I mean, we might as well talk about it.
Let's
It's
get
the
on Bolton.
arrogance. It's that arrogance of that goal.
Was it
That's the
94th
94th
minute?
Right. When he did it, I just went, fuck, oh my God. Like, Mason was like, fuck off. Why are you
For anyone who's not seen any Bolton Wanderers highlights, you need to go and watch this goal. Get on Instagram or X or wherever you need to find it. But Mario Kozia Dubry's goal for Bolton in the 94th minute. Is it equalised? It was 1-1, weren't it?
Equaliser. It's like we're 2-1 up, and he's just like trying to put the icing on the cake. We're literally chasing the game.
It's a stunning strike. It's cutting in from the left. It's all of 28-ish yards out. Far corner, bend, whip, power, everything.
Yeah, it's not even like he's floated it into the top corner. He's
twatted it.
Banged it in the top corner. Like, it's the wrong decision in that minute. Like,
If that goes anywhere else other than in, you're fuming.
Yeah, it's nuts, right? And it's only a carefree loan player who will be all right anyway. You text that on, but what a fucking goal! I was almost still angry because I'm like, what are you doing? Oh my! Like, it was. Yeah.
You spoke a little bit in the first half, but what are you thinking about Bolton at the moment? Because it's a lot of 1-1s I'm seeing, and you've got Wigan coming up at the weekend, which is notoriously tricky, let's say.
I think we're onto something with this manager, with this setup. We're just still clicking.
So many new players.
Yeah, we still, but it looks good. Like, I really like the way that we play. It's dynamic, it's fast. We get shots away. We're so leaky, though. We've got a defence, I think, that still needs improving, but we're still early in the journey, and I think the goalkeeper, yes, I think there's a lot of talent there, and I think, yes, he's great with his feet, but there's been a few...
You'd rather him be good with his hands.
Yeah, I think I tweeted, can we just have an adult in there? Like, I wouldn't mind a bit of calmness back there, but Wigan on Saturday, I don't feel as apprehensive about it as I normally would do going into it, because we've now beat them for the first time in a decade. So that is a bit of a sort of monkey off our back a little bit with it. We can go into it a little bit, not carefree because it's still a massive derby, but we don't have that hanging over us. It's not the end of the world, and it's not the streak carrying on if we lose. But I would really like to batter them, to be honest. and I think it's about time we did.
Yeah, you feel like you're due. Do you feel like you've got that performance in you really at the moment though?
Yeah.
Like that big result is coming. No matter, someone's going to get it at some point.
Yeah, we can. I do think at some point this season we'll click and we'll start blowing teams away. The only challenge is we're probably going to lose Kozia Dubry in January because Brighton have a recall option, and I'd be shocked if someone doesn't put in a bid in for him.
No, maybe
He is playing. Yeah, I think that will happen. So I just think we're almost going to start planning now for a world without him, which is fine because I think this is part of the thing. If you do well with loan players, more clubs will be likely to loan you their better players because they can see that they might get something out of it at the end of the season. So it's not the end of the world, and we need to be ready for that happening. I think like Stockport got that wrong with Louis Barry. Like they almost thought they'd keep him for the whole year. I don't know why they thought that would happen.
It's not a bad reputation to have, though, that you nurture players well. I mean, Bolton have been notoriously good at loaning players for a long time. Look at the track record previously. It's, they've generally had a great relationship with Premier League teams and whoever else. Now Arsenal benefited from it, and Chelsea in the past and whoever else.
Particularly for the North West clubs.
Particularly, yeah.
Kozia Dubry is from Brighton, so it couldn't be less North West. But we do have that location, which is very, very favourable. So that does help us with loan players. We'll see. We'll see. But I think worry about January then. It's all about Saturday.
Predictions for the weekend. We've got Bolton v Wigan and Arsenal v Man City.
God, I'm going to regret this. Bolton 4, Wigan 0.
And I'll go Arsenal 4, Man City 0.
I think I'll go 2-0 for that game. I think you'll beat them comfortably. I don't think you've got a 4-0 in you. I think you'll still be quite defensive. Not in a bad way. I just think that's your style.
I actually don't. I'm feeling that Man City are going to turn up very defensive on this one. I'm feeling the opposite.
A bit, Pep, innit? He's changing a little bit. Was it in the derby like 47% possession?
By the way, I didn't mention. I know Zubimendi had a great game, but Saliba, who trained on Saturday, didn't end up making the squad. I think they wanted to rest him because we've got Champions League this week as well. Mosquera came in at centre back. He's 20 years old. He was 13 million pound from Valencia. He looks unbelievable. It is the steal. I'm calling it right now, but steal of the season in terms of what. And I don't know how many minutes he will play once Saliba's fit and the both defenders are there. I think he's going to come in a lot more often than we may have predicted. He looked fantastic. Chris Wood didn't touch the ball all game, and that wasn't his fault. Morgan Gibbs-White didn't get a sniff all day, and it must have been so frustrating for him. But Mosquera looked fantastic.
He will have harder days, but it's a good start.
Yeah, for sure. Or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll just come in on the easier matches.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's the plan, really, isn't it?
That is the plan, yeah.
Not easier matches, but home games that should be theoretically more comfortable. No. That's the whole point of it. That's why you signed Madueke, really.
Yeah.
Like, these are the Madueke games, but obviously Saka's injured and Madueke's taking his chance, and good, fair play to him for doing that. But that's the point of having a squad, innit?
Yeah, for sure.
You can rest these top players for these games.
What stood out to you this weekend, Liam? Anything big? Anything catch your eyes? Liverpool got a late winner, which was so annoying. It was just an absolute moment of madness in their game. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of drama. Like, it was very reserved weekend.
I think the interesting one's Aston Villa. No goals yet.
They haven't scored yet. How crazy is that?
I know. They don't look great. They really, really don't look great.
How much do you think the PSR stuff affected them over the summer?
Big time.
Like, but not just players coming in and going out, because we saw who left for Newcastle. Jacob Ramsey, yeah. And still nothing.
Wanted to get rid of Emma Martinez as well. But it looked like
they were banking on that, yeah. Be subbed. But yeah, it just seems to have, ran a little bit of a stink throughout the whole club. And just the morale seems dead and everything.
It becomes hard if you don't evolve.
Yeah.
See, in the Premier League, with all the analytics and all the cameras and all the scientists and guys in the computers just looking at numbers all day, if you become predictable, you've got no chance in the Premier League because everyone works out to play against you very fucking quickly. So if you're not able to keep freshening up your squad, you can find yourself in these difficult positions, particularly if your better players struggle for form, which is Morgan Rogers, basically, who played well for England, but
played really well, yeah. We need to do an England episode at some point because I thought there was a lot to come out of that last week, but we'll save that for another day. Anything else on your mind?
Not really mine, no. that was the main one.
It was a big one. Right, we'll leave that there. Thank you everyone for listening. FIXingFootballPodcast.com, you can find us. Do get involved in the conversation. We're going to be moving to video on Spotify soon. If you've stayed with us this long, thank you very much. Video will be coming back to Spotify, so you'll be able to see us if you're one of our audio listeners. And we look like this. My hair won't always be this colour. Liam will always be this beautiful. And we will see you on the next one. Peace and love, everyone. Happy birthday, me.